Welcome back to COM 3693, Interpersonal Health Communication. Today we're addressing the thoughts, emotions, and behaviors relational partners go through when they discover that one partner has an illness. In particular, we're going to talk about uncertainty and the emotions that accompany uncertainty, like anxiety and fear, that people diagnosed with an illness and their family members and friends can undergo when confronted with an illness. This is the story of Jennifer Thompson and the issues she faced with an uncertain medical field. Jennifer was a fun-loving, vibrant child who did what any child her age would do. She did her homework, played with friends, and spent time on her phone texting and talking to her friends. At about the age of 11, Jennifer began to suddenly become easily fatigued, and this tiredness grew steadily over the years. By the time that she was a freshman in high school, her immune system was failing. She would easily and constantly catch cold and flus, which would render her incapacitated. During her junior year in high school, she caught the flu so badly that she nearly had to drop out of school. Jennifer never had the opportunity to graduate from high school with her friends or even attend college. She went back and forth between clinics without really ever having the answer to the question of what was causing her such debilitating symptoms. Even her healthcare providers were beginning to wonder whether Jennifer was fabricating the illness. The story of Jennifer Thompson underscores an important point about medicine. Sometimes medical diagnoses, prognoses, and treatments can be less than straightforward, where illnesses are not easily understood. In these cases, like Jessica's, patients can be left with numerous questions about their health. The lack of information or understanding about one's illness can lead to illness uncertainty. So what is illness uncertainty? In the most general form, illness uncertainty is described as the inability of a person to determine the meaning of illness-related events. In other words, it's a cognitive state resulting from insufficient cues to form a cognitive schema or meaning of a health-related situation or event. According to Merrill Michel's theory of illness uncertainty, some antecedents of illness uncertainty might involve symptoms that happened prior to the official diagnosis, such as pain, prior illnesses that might resemble the current illness, or previously adopted beliefs about the illness. Those antecedents affect various inferences we make about the illness, such as seeing the illness as a potential threat or an opportunity to grow as a person. Finally, such appraisals of the uncertain event can affect our self-management strategies in coping with the uncertainty. Do we enter into a defensive avoidance where we shelter ourselves from any news about the illness? Or do we directly confront the uncertainty with buffering and mobilizing strategies used to manage that uncertainty? Why is uncertainty in the healthcare process such an uncomfortable, aversive state for patients? It's because in medicine, patients may encounter uncertainty in such varied forms, from the dense and threatening health information, prolonged wait times due to an overtaxed healthcare system, and the unknowns as it relates to the patient's future plans. Patients who experience some set of symptoms that they can't control themselves might feel uncertainty from the diagnosis or the identification of the disease or condition causing the underlying symptoms to express themselves. Patients might lack information about what the symptoms mean or how they even got the disease or medical condition in the first place. Patients might also feel uncertainty from the prognosis or the forecast of likely outcomes of the disease. In this case, the what-ifs might accompany unknowns about the long-term effects of the medical condition on one's lifestyle or how it could affect the lives of potential caregivers. For example, a health-literate person might be uncertain about whether a recently taken biopsy is malignant and what it might mean for both the short-term and long-term futures of friends and family members. Patients might also feel some uncertainties about the treatment options. If several different treatment options are provided with similar benefit-risk scenarios, it may lead to patients feeling like they're taking a gamble on one course of action over the other. Likewise, once a treatment plan is selected, patients may feel uncertainty about the treatment's efficacy or undesirable side effects. Finally, patients might be uncertain about insurance coverage options. Even for relatively acute illnesses, those with illnesses might wonder, how am I going to pay for this treatment? Or will my insurance cover the cost of the expensive medical procedure? Not all forms of uncertainty are created equally. In a longitudinal survey study of 407 individuals suffering from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, over a 2-year period, Karen Holt, a professor of neuropsychiatry at the University of Iowa's Medical School, in concert with her colleagues, looked at the relative influence of two sources of uncertainty, ambiguity and complexity, on psychological and clinical outcomes. In the article entitled Prospective Impact of Illness Uncertainty on Outcomes in Chronic Lung Disease, published in the journal Health Psychology, Holt and her colleagues defined ambiguity uncertainty as cues about the state of the illness being vague, indistinct, and tending to blur together and overlap. Complexity uncertainty related to the relative unknowns about the treatment and the system of care being multiple, intricate, and varied. What they found was quite interesting. Whereas earlier bouts of ambiguity uncertainty led to higher depressive symptoms and anxiety, worsening quality of life, and increased breathlessness, complexity uncertainty didn't have any effects on these psychological or somatic outcomes. What about primary caregivers of chronically ill patients? Do they experience illness uncertainty? Ting Guan of the Syracuse University School of Social Work and her colleagues reviewed the body of literature on illness uncertainty in cancer survivors' family caregivers to see whether any conclusions can be reached about the effects of their own illness uncertainty. In the article, Correlates of Illness Uncertainty in Cancer Survivors and Family Caregivers, a systematic review and meta-analysis, published in 2023 in the journal Supportive Care in Cancer, they found that illness uncertainty of family caregivers led to lower general health, lower beliefs about social support, decreased perceptions of social influence, and lower quality of life. That's pretty much all I have for this module on illness uncertainty and the different cognitive, emotional, and behavioral correlates of it in both patients and their caregivers. In this module, you learned about what illness uncertainty is and the reasons why people might experience this uncertainty. You also learn that not all types of illness uncertainty are equal, and some forms of uncertainty have more pronounced effects on psychosocial and clinical symptoms. Finally, you learned about some of the correlates of illness uncertainty experienced by family caregivers of those who are chronically ill. As usual, if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments of this video or feel free to email or group me. Thank you for watching until the end of the video, and I'll see you again next week.